Hello everyone, welcome to my Dragonbane solo campaign, chapter 3. This is going to be a bonus content session. As you may have gathered from the first video about chapter 3, we're focusing on kind of a singular story through chapter 3. And our hero, Sir Isaac Loosejaw, is going to be opposed by a bunch of ancient evil elves through the course of his journey. I wanted to kind of create these elves. I wanted them to be kind of unique NPCs in a way. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a video just about creating NPCs of our own and going from there. I've got a little confession to make first, though. Truth be told, I already made this video. For some reason, about halfway through this video, my volume or my microphone just completely cut out and it went suddenly very silent. Not sure why. So I've actually already created some of these NPCs, but we're gonna fake it till we make it sort of thing and still kind of talk about the creation process, decisions, and kind of walk through that process anyway. Pretend a little bit like we haven't, even though a lot of me humming and hawing and digging around and pondering things have been lost to time. So, yes, let's talk about this. I want to create some evil elves. These are ancient creatures that have been around for 1,000 years, defending an empire long gone. I want them to be villainous and with an obsessive hatred of Nightkin, for sure. So I kind of started thinking, when I first started plotting this out, even before I thought about doing a singular story with chapter 3, I'd already in my mind, of course, the very name is right there, the elf home wetlands where no elf dwells. Well, of course, you have something named elf home wetlands. There's got to be elves somewhere. I had a waypoint for the vacant empire, just a singular waypoint there, and I'd already had in my mind drawn up that it was going to be an exploration of a fallen area of this old elven empire. Originally, I planned on filling it with maybe undead, skeletons, living dead, that kind of thing. And that's kind of my original intent with it, but I did fight skeletons here in chapter 2. I did fight a living dead undead in chapter 2. I mean, that's all well and good. They make good villains. They'd be fun to keep fighting. I had a good time with them, but once I guess I decided to create this sort of ancient empire, well, then it started occurring to me, maybe I need to be doing something just a little different. Maybe skeletons aren't really what I want. So I started thinking about maybe more sophisticated undead, right? Mummies, wraiths, ghosts, ghouls, something a little different, something a little tougher, more monstrous than the skeletons and NPC, but just once again, just not quite there. I wanted that essential elfishness. I wanted some just elven quality that's going to be in here, since that is a part of the quest. So yes, that's what's prompted me to think about creating elven NPCs, monsters, bosses, with a distinctly evil, ancient tone about them to go forward with. So yes, we have, of course, generic NPCs in the rule set back here. Let me get to that. Very useful tool for creating NPCs. I wanted these guys to be kind of some NPCs, some general grunt troopers, right? To be opposed against. Maybe a step up from that, and then maybe eventually a boss. That would be more unique and special. But still, something more stronger than your common skeleton. These are ancient creatures, elves who've been around a long time. They're going to be something a little different than just a standard skeleton. So we have also back here our common NPCs. Where are they here? There we are. Our typical NPCs section. We got our cultists, which You know, Izek's already done some battling with cultists. They always make awesome villains. We have examples of bosses here too. So I kept that on the back burner. I'm like, okay, so what? You know, I could just maybe make a pumped up skeleton, just strengthen a skeleton up, strengthen a living dead up. Same thing here. Maybe strengthen these up in a different way. You know, the starter set did come with this Dragonbane Adventures out here. And what's cool about this adventure thing, you know, of course, not just the adventures themselves. This came out before the bestiary. There are actually a surprising number of unique monsters in this thing, unique characters, and that you don't find in the bestiary because this came out before the bestiary. They didn't really duplicate a lot of that. In fact, we've already kind of encountered that. Look at this. Here's a sea serpent called the White Death. Huh. He looks cool. I don't know where I'd come across a sea serpent here, but nevertheless, there is that. They have kind of generic demon cultists, which are a little different than the cultists in the book, but really not any more powerful. They just wield differently. Not really what I was looking for. I have already used one of the monsters in chapter 2. Here's that Murderous Briars that I actually used outside of the manor house. It worked well. So I was still kind of digging along, and I came across these guys right here. Look at these twisted cultists. I don't want to spoil too much, so be aware. I'm not really going to be talking about the plot, just a couple of the monsters. But nevertheless, keep that as an FYI if spoilers concern you. There's 2 of these twisted cultists, these 2 guys right here in the picture. And I looked at this thing here. Look at this demonic toughness. When a twisted cultist reaches 0 hit points for the first time, it rises again on its next turn. Now with D6 hit points and a demonic wrath that increases the damage bonus to plus D6. Goes from plus D4 to plus D6. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That is exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to ancient, practically immortal evil elves. Awesome ability. So yes, when I saw that, I'm kind of like, hey, maybe we got something here. This might work. In this adventure, there's only 2 of them, but they're quite tough. I mean, 24 hit points is a lot for just your basic grunt and an armor 4, chainmail armor. That's a lot for your basic dude, especially when they rise from the dead. But nevertheless, I think this make a good template. I think maybe between this, looking at, you know, the basic NPC charts in there and coming up with some sort of combination of the 2 does the trick. So yes, as I said in my exploration video, that's where I kind of eventually came down to, and I did create them. So I created a Vacant Empire elf. Like I said, sort of a combination of the 2. You know, kind of movement 12, I guess it doesn't matter. Once again, that D4, D6 damage. I switched it to agility, but now that kind of occurs to me, they're not, you know, agility in here is still kind of meant for daggers, knives. They don't really, you know, use agility for strength type weapons like swords. So I guess I'm going to switch this back to, look at this array of army. That Izek is going to be enemy facing. Good luck, Izek. Anyway, fun standees. This is literally all my elves, all my cultists, all my undead opponents. Okay, so yes, I guess I will switch this back to strength because I thought of them being elves. They're going to be using agility. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. When we're calculating this out, it's not like they're using their strength for anything. It's in a way, it's kind of funny they put strength and agility here because it's not like we give them stats. They have no strength and agility. They just have skills. So I don't know what the purpose of this is other than maybe to give us a concept of saving throws, the weapons they use. Anyway, damage bonus is kind of pointless other than just what the damage bonus is. They don't have actual strength and agility stats. Went down to 16 hit points. You know, when I think about Isaac, so he's kind of getting to a good stage. You know, he has now been gifted with that cursed Elven Sunblade. It's a longsword, does 2d8 damage. He has the strength bonus himself, damage of d4. And then this does an extra d6 against elves, part of the curse. So I think if you average that out, that's 8, 2 for a strength bonus, that's 10, 3 on a d6, that's 13. So on an average hit, Isaac should be doing 13 points of damage. So I didn't want these guys to be killed in one blow like I was mowing down skeletons, you know, in chapter 2. I wanted them to be stronger than that. So I put it up to 16 so that at least they can still be killed in one blow, but you'd have to roll above average damage. And couple that with the fact that they're still going to be rising from the dead once they go down to 0 hit points with d6 hit points and more damage. You know, they're sticking around for at least 2 rounds no matter what happens. I gave them an armor of 2, a little bit, you know, studded leather armor. That seems more appropriate for elves, I guess, in this case. Like I said, I want them to be a little bit weaker than these 2 crazy cultists in the adventure book. Skills, about the same. About the same. Broadsword, skill level 13. They're going to be wielding broadswords. They're going to be doing 2d6. You know, these critters here, these cultists in this book wield a battle axe. Battle axes aren't really an elven thing. These are not ancient evil dwarves. These are ancient evil elves. So broadsword makes a little more sense. So as you can tell, they're just a little bit downgraded, but still very formidable, frightening foe to deal with. So that's the Vacant Empire elf. I think he turned out great. Maybe I'll change its name, something better than Vacant Empire elf. I guess that's fine, but maybe I'll make up a more entertaining name for them. But that should be a really kind of very strong basic opponent NPC for Sewer Isaac to go up against. After that, I wanted something maybe a bit of a step up. These guys are basic troopers, maybe more of a sergeant level thing, right? Maybe a squad leader, you know, maybe not as common as these guys, not quite a boss, somewhere in between. So I started looking through here. What's kind of elfish? What's kind of a henchman? I don't want him to quite be a boss. Something different. And that's when I saw the Archmage down here. They definitely have an Archmage boss. That's pretty cool. You know, I did create this spell, this blade with a little bit of spell casting in mind, with the ability to absorb any spell targeting me once per day. And then the next attack is made with a boon. So yes, a mage, in other words. So I did create a mage. I downgraded the Archmage a little bit. Well, quite a bit, really. It's not a boss. I wanted to be somewhere in between. So I ended up creating a Vacant Empire mage. That seems very elvish. Elves are magical by nature. It makes more sense that they would have mages, you know, in their army more commonly. So I downgraded a little bit, like I said. Still has 12 hit points instead of the, what do they have in here? He has 22 hit points in here. So I downgraded all the way down to 12. I figured they're going to be in the back line. They have defensive spells. He could, in theory, be killed in one blow. But once again, they're going to rise from the dead. So even if I did strike down this mage in a blow, he's coming back for at least additional round. I'll give him 18 willpower points. I've never played a mage. I don't really... It'll be interesting when I go up against them, because I'll have to look at spells and see what they got. I don't know how much... I imagine 18 willpower points. He's going to be able to cast how many spells he wants. You know, it's going to be a long time before he runs out of willpower points. But nevertheless, the Archmage had 30 willpower points in here. So, I mean, that's a lot. So I would expect they're not going to run out of willpower even at 18, but still I downgraded it. No real armor. They have robes. Magic school of 13. I didn't give them a specific magic school. You know, I figured they may be a variety. So when I encounter an Empire Mage, maybe we'll randomly roll for a magic school, or we'll just pick one and go with it and see how that works. Stave skill of 11 does D8 damage with a staff. He's got the same kind of curse. When he dies, he rises with D6 hit points, but I gave him having gains D6 willpower since instead of a strength damage bonus, because he's a wizard. He's going to be casting spells, not... If he's swinging with his staff, he's already kind of in dire set of circumstances, so instead he gets D6 willpower. I thought that's great. So I kind of made it through 2 NPCs, all based off of these twisted cultists in the Adventurer's book, and with a really kind of cool innate ability. I didn't do a demonic aura, I named it a cursed aura, as you can see here. I'm not really saying these elves have made a pact with a demon. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. As I've said before, Izek, of course it's demons. What else would it be? but it could be anything. I went with a cursed aura. Maybe that will probably be part of the plot, the final part of the plot, destroying whatever it is that is keeping these elves alive and cursed all these centuries. That is what the ghost has requested of Izek and put a geese on him to do. We'll figure it out as we play. I left a lot to oracles. I want to create a boss as well. You know, the big bad. I think it's fun to have a big bad. He's going to be a boss as well, but I didn't want to quite do the work in this video because I want him to be a little bit unique, which means I'm going to want to give him a name, really think about him a little bit, give him some maybe special abilities, maybe a magic weapon, magic armor, make him like a real individual boss. You know, these bosses are fine. I mean, they're good. They're strong opponents. I wouldn't want to run against this bandit chief in a dark alley. I tell you that much. Heavy Warhammer chainmail with a hammer skill of 15. Yikes! But for this boss, I want him to be unique. So that would, I think, just take a little bit more time than I have in this video. I'll create him when, you know, and then when and if I meet him, he'll be ready to go. But we're going to make him a unique NPC. I'd also like to do a monster of some sort too. It'd be fun to have a monster that would be like an ally of these elves, maybe a pet of these elves, a servant pet, you know, kind of like, you know, orcs have wargs, you know, something along those lines, or maybe just an ally, or maybe also another cursed creature that has part of this sort of thing, a cursed monster. I didn't really, again, make that for this video either. What do you guys think about that? I'm open to suggestions. When I was digging around here through the, you know, through the bestiary, let's kind of get this put away here real quick. You know, nothing really stood out to me as what would be a very good, really cool kind of, you know, I guess pet / ally monster of these NPCs. You know, maybe a corrupt troll? That would be nasty. But like I said, I don't mind monsters being nasty. Maybe some sort of cursed trolls, but that doesn't seem like someone who would really work with elves, but they are kind of long-lived intelligence, maybe so. The beasts, once again, nothing really stood out to me. Giant spiders, perhaps. But I didn't want to make them too, you know, D&D drow. They're evil elves, but I don't want them to be old school, you know, drow elves. I'm questioning whether I want to associate them with spiders. That would be just a little too on point for what we're looking for here. I want them to be evil elves, not necessarily dark elves. Griffins? Hippogriffs? Maybe just throwing a manticore. How about some evil Pegasus? Oh, that might be interesting. That's a thought. A bloodthirsty Pegasus? I don't know. If you guys have opinions in chat, let me know what you think. There are, once again, also some other beasties in this adventure book, which maybe I could port over. Oh, that's the rule book. Anyway, in the adventure book, that I could port over as being allies of these. One of them I did watch, look in here just real quick before I end this video. There are, if I can find them in here, there's those twisted cultists. Let's see, there are spiderlings. Look at these things. They're kind of cool. You know, they only have a ferocity 1 creature, 24 hit points, resistant to physical attacks, which is going to, even magical ones, which is going to extend their life incredibly long. And they have some pretty cool abilities in here. Not super high damage, which may be a good thing, considering they're going to take forever to kill. Spiderlings might be awesome. But once again, associating them with that drow situation is not, I'm not sure that's the association I want to go. Anyway, that's that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I thought it'd be fun to create some NPCs. I'm looking forward to our adventure against them. Everyone take care. I hope you have a great week.